Hello and welcome to Go Ballistic, SunSport's Euro 2024 podcast. I'm Roger Hanna. With me today my colleague David Friel, and in this episode you will hear from SunSport's Euro 2024 columnist Gordon Strachan ahead of Scotland versus Switzerland. You hear from the voice of SunSport, Bill Leckie, who will be in the stadium in Cologne tonight, and also from our football editor Derek McGregor, who is heading for Stuttgart for Germany versus Hungary at 5 p.m. David, it's match day. Are you feeling the love for this game?
I'm feeling the love. I feel positive, Roger. I think we all had a couple of tough days after Friday night. I think so much expectation around it. We'd all been looking forward to it for 8 months. It didn't go well. I think that's putting it as an understatement. But dropped the girls off at nursery this morning, both wearing their Scotland strips. Bonnie was about to get a Scotland flag face painted. So I think the optimism's there. It's not blind optimism, it's caution. But I think we can get a result tonight.
Well, I know you wanted your own face painted. Gary, the producer, was against it. He said the lights shine off the face paint. What do we need to do differently from Munich on Friday to Cologne tonight?
We need to be more aggressive, and I don't mean Ryan Porteous aggressive. I mean we just need to get in about the Swiss players. I think we stood off Germany. We gave them far too much respect. I think the players are almost caught between, do they sit off, do they go? I think we have to be far more aggressive with the pressing. I think that's where Scotland have been at their best under Steve Clarke. You think back to that Spain game at Hampden. I remember after it when we spoke about the dark arts and winning fouls and just making things really, really uncomfortable for them. I'm not saying Switzerland are anywhere near as good as Spain, but they've got some good players. They can also mix it up as well. I think that's going to be so important. It has to be controlled aggression. Yeah. I think we also just need to carry a threat. I think we need to have more belief. I felt, and Andy Robertson said it yesterday, there was just a bit of fear in the play. I think tonight, what have we got to lose? I agree with Steve Clarke. I think it's dangerous to play for a draw. Hand in heart, I would take a draw right now. But I think we have to go out and believe we can win the game, go and take the game and just be a bit more adventurous than we were on Friday night.
Team selection obviously is going to be crucial. The Tartan Abbey waiting 75 minutes before kick-off. The one everyone talks about is, does Gilmour play? Does Gilmour not start the game? Your colleague Kenny MacDonald gave us the not start the game viewpoint yesterday. Can you offer an alternative?
I can. With all due respect to Kenny, and I'm now about to obliterate everything he said yesterday, I just can't see a Scotland team without Billy Gilmour in it. I think he should have started on Friday. I get Kenny's stats in terms of the qualification campaign and how Billy Gilmour didn't always start, but I think he did carry a few injuries during that period. For me, he has to start. He keeps the ball, he gets on the ball, he's brave on the ball. That's exactly what we need tonight. The midfield area is our strongest position, our strongest area. And I think we have to make the most of it. For me, it's Callum McGregor, Billy Gilmour, Scott McTominay and John McGinn. That's the four. Che Adams or Lawrence Shankland, I can see arguments for both. I don't know how fit Che Adams is. He didn't look fully sharp against Germany, although he did have a thankless task. James Forrest would also come into my thinking, purely because I think we need to, as I said, be a bit more adventurous, get up the park. I would rather go for it and take the lead and then hang on than be chasing the game late on. For me, James Forrest has to start and Billy Gilmour has to start.
And we need the Hungarians to be beaten by Germany at 5 o'clock first to tee us up for the game at 8.
Yeah, and we'll always look at ourselves, and I think the post-mortem, we do post-mortems better than anybody. We're world class at it, and I think we have, it's been soul searching from everybody in terms of where it went wrong on Friday night. But I think we can't forget, Germany were brilliant, were absolutely outstanding. They are an outstanding team. I was reading that Julian Nagelsmann's going to play exactly the same team. He's going to go with all the big guns again. So I can see Germany going and hammering Hungary. I was quite disappointed with Hungary coming into the tournament. I thought they were going to be a lot better than they showed against Switzerland. I think Germany will take care of them, no problem. If we can get a point tonight, at the very least, it then sets it up for Sunday.
And if it is all set up for Sunday, if we need a draw or we need a win against the Hungarians, we will have David back and his face will be painted. Well, we can head over now to SunSport's Euro 2024 columnist Gordon Strachan. Gordon, good morning. I've been dying to ask a manager like yourself, on match day like this, an 8 p.m. kickoff, how do you keep 26 footballers active during the day before the game?
Well, usually we would do set plays, finish off on a day like this. I think that's your training ground you put together. Probably he's announcing his team this morning, which has been it became a long night for a manager, that's for sure, because you got to disappoint a lot of people. There's a group in there who probably realise they won't be playing for the start, but they're hoping they're going to get a substitute. spot, and people who think they're going to play might miss out. One or two might miss out. So it's a hard time for a manager. So it's a relief actually when you name the team. You go, that's it, it's done. And then you go on and do your set plays, because you have to be more specific with your set plays. You can generally patterns of play and things like that, and your setup. You can disguise your team, but when it comes to set plays, then they've all got to know their jobs. So that's what will probably happen today. Lunch, and then for me as a manager, I would try and get a sleep in the afternoon, which probably lasts about 5 minutes because your head's turning over again, and you just want the game to start at that point. The players, they're selling a wee bit different these days, because years ago when we went to these tournaments, it could be a rather long day because the hotels weren't great. You never had social media. You get to speak to your wives at games, whatever. You just sat in a room or you drank tea, and that's what you did. So it was a long day, but there's so much more that the players have for them available. But I think most players would probably try and get a sleep in the afternoon, or just rest, get on your bed and rest and chill out.
We've still to play Hungary, of course. They play Germany at 5 o'clock, our game's at 8 o'clock. Does Steve have somebody at the game, do you think? As the manager, does he try and sneak a little view of the game, or is that something he'll watch?
I think as a coaching staff, I think they'll be watching the game. Yeah. I think they'll be watching the game. Well, you know, Steve watches it all, watches a bit, but I think as a manager, it's good to get time on your own. Now, we're all different, but I used to like to have time on my own. As I said to you, try and get sleep, read a book, do something, listen to music. But I think with the games coming fast and furious, and especially the game, Hungary game coming up, I think Steve and his coaching staff would watch that. Then that passes a bit of the day away. So it's quite unusual to watch a game like that. And it only happens in this sort of World Cup where you can actually watch your opponents a couple of hours before you actually play. So I think it's, as I said, it will be. I think, but the coaching staff and players, and if you say to them when they woke up this morning, do you want to start the game in half an hour? They go, yeah, let's play it now.
Does it help Scotland that the first game's at 5 o'clock, and we'll know by 8 o'clock?
No, it doesn't help.
They've done it. What we might need to do.
No, nothing like that helps. You just play the game, because there's too much thought put in it. I think people think there's some sort of grand plan to get a point at this or that. There's no. It's the game is. You play it. You play to win. That's what you do. I don't think I've ever set a team out and say, if we get a draw, you go in, you win. You talk about the opposition. You talk about that. You talk about yourself. How you've got to win the game. So I don't think anybody goes, I think we'll go for a draw. It's very unlikely, because you can never envisage how the draw's got to go. Is it a 0-0 draw? Is it a 2-2 draw? All depends on circumstances and players.
Well, that's great. Thanks very much for your time. Fingers crossed for a result tonight, and we will speak to you ahead of Hungary.
See you later. Enjoy the evening. Bye.
So we can now head riverside in Cologne to the voice of SunSport, Bill Leckie. I can see the Tartan Army tucking into their breakfast behind you, Bill. What's it like in the morning of the match?
It's a little bit grey overhead, a little bit kind of breezy, and also the Tartan Army very bright and breezy. They were out in massive numbers last night in Cologne. The rain was absolutely bouncing off the streets, didn't dampen their spirits, and they're up again early this morning with just the kind of, 8, 9, 10 hours to the game. See how we are at.
I was going to ask you about the weather, because everywhere we looked in Germany yesterday, you seem to be underwater. What's the forecast for the game tonight?
The forecast for the game by this afternoon is meant to be dry and sunny and a bit warmer. Maybe kind of 18 with the game tonight. I think we've maybe hit lucky tonight. But I mean, last night, it just was biblical again for about 2 hours. It was mad. Germany has really been hit hard. All of you saw what Dortmund was like yesterday for the Turkey-Georgia game. And it was kind of feeling like that here as well. But I think tonight, it's a lot warmer today here. And by tonight, I think it should be quite nice.
And it should be red hot for Scotland as well. It is a crucial game. You spoke to Andy Robertson at the pre-match media conference. He spoke well again, yes. Bill. Is it a case now of just doing what Andy Robertson says, doing the talking on the pitch tonight?
On the pitch. Time for action. He was very impressive last night in the way he talked about his leadership of the squad in the wake of Munich, where he gave them a very set time to feel sorry for themselves and then to draw a line under it. How from then on it was all about being on the training pitch. And as he said last night, he said, I could sit and talk to you for hours about football, sit and talk to you for hours about this situation. It will do no good. We have to go out and perform now. We have to have action and not words. And that's what it means. That's what it needs.
You filed your scene setter for us in the newspaper, the Scottish Sun, this morning, Bill. You were talking about the pressure being felt by the manager, Steve Clarke, a man. If you're the manager and you lose 5-1, you tend to be a man alone.
Yes.
Fast forward to the press conference last night, he almost looked a man alone at times. He was getting a little bit tetchy again, answering questions from broadcast journalists. Does he look like a man with the weight of the world on his shoulder?
As we know, he doesn't like the on-stage broadcast media thing. He doesn't like the idea of being asked for sound bites. So he reacts very... if somebody says to him, as again was asked last night, should we expect changes? And it's kind of expect what you like. There's a bit of Gordon Strachan about him, and that if you ask him a question he doesn't like, he'll give you an answer that you don't like. And yeah, that's him at his least communicative when he's in that situation. It's not a good look sometimes. But we were about 2 questions in last night, and one of the boys turned to me and said, we're getting nothing here from Steve tonight. And that's the way he is. Sometimes he just says, get this out of the road, let me get on with my job properly.
Well, listen, Gordon's on this podcast. I must be asking the right questions because he's delivering all the right answers on this podcast. Last thing, Bill, I'll let you go and get your own full Scottish breakfast with the tartman behind you. A prediction for tonight in Cologne?
No. Every time I give a prediction about Scotland, I'm proved completely wrong. The last week it was, I fully expect we'll get a 1-1 draw in Munich. So don't let me jinx it. Don't let me jinx it, Roger. Listen, see if we come away tonight still in the tournament. I'll be very, 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 very happy.
Excellent, Bill. I'll let you go. That was Bill Leckie, a man who's used to grey overhead. Thanks very much.
All the best, pal.
We can now head for Germany for our football editor, Derek McGregor. Derek, you've been in the Swiss camp all week. We're now at match day. How do you see things going? And have you been impressed with what you've seen from Switzerland this week?
Yes, I have, Roger. I've quickly taken to the Swiss team, obviously, primarily because of their performance on Saturday, and I've had the pleasure of speaking to a couple of players and their staff over the last few days, and I'm quite impressed. Although I can't say I was particularly taken with Murat Yakin last night at the press conference. Struck me as a very kind of cold, kind of brooding character. He was under pressure up until the end of last year, Roger, because of a kind of lacklustre qualifying campaign. But he changed things at the start of the year, certainly in backroom staff. Now, Giorgio Contini sounds like a fashion brand, but it's actually the name of his close friend and number 2. And I think since Contini came in, I think the atmosphere behind the scenes has been good. The players like him, and I can vouch for the fact that he comes across as a thoroughly decent guy. Now, prior to the tournament, every country's had its own version of team bonding events. Obviously, the Scots had a darts night, a bit of golf. The Germans had a barbecue for players and family. The Swiss had a very novel one, Roger. They had a sailing day at Lake Constance. Now, I understand no one fell in, but they're still looking to make a splash at the Euros.
Now, after dealing with the Swiss all week, you're now heading for Stuttgart today to run the rollover out Group A of Forrest. Germany, unfortunately, we know all about, and they'll take on Hungary at 5 o'clock today.
Yes. Now, I think we're hoping that clearly Germany win all of their games.
Yeah.
And I would expect them to do so. Hungary, I think a bit like Scotland, they were bruised by their opening defeat. Not quite as bad as Scotland's, but nevertheless, first half on Saturday, Hungary were poor. They were bullied, they were dictated to. They kind of roused a bit in the second half and showed enough that, come Sunday night, they could give us some difficulty.
A bit like, so, you were in Cologne to see Hungary, as you say, on Saturday. A bit like the Scots, a lot of their big hitters didn't quite perform as had been expected. The captain, Dominic Szoboszlai of Liverpool, probably primary to that.
Yeah, huge pressure on him, Roger. He showed in flashes on Saturday what he's about. his passing, some of his set piece deliveries. But I think there's a nation expecting a lot more of him starting tonight.
And his teammate, the big lad up front, Martin Adam, he's been complaining that he's been fat-shamed back home in Hungary and by some viewers of this tournament. You and I know what that's like, Derek, but for a professional footballer, it will certainly dent his ego.
Oh, absolutely. But I think he's also someone that gets fired up, and I would not want to be a centre-half trying to stop him, Roger. I mean, he is a classic throwback, and, I love it. Absolutely love it. He looks more like he would be, a striker for one of our junior teams back home. But listen, fair play to him. Fair play to him.
Well, he'll be tucking into his goulash. You and I are looking forward to a full Scottish breakfast on match day. Derek, I'll let you go. Good luck today.
Thanks, Roger. All the best.
Thanks again for watching and listening to Go Ballistic. We will be back tomorrow for the post-mortem, the morning after, the night before in Cologne. Please let it be better than the morning after Munich. Thanks again.